Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Manage to Retain. This is a series that I do with my friends Sherri and Lou because we believe that, or at least I'll talk about myself, that in leadership, being more effective as a leader requires something that you're constantly reinvesting in, reinspecting as a leader, how you can be more effective. Sherri and Lou, how are you all doing today?
Good.
Doing great.
Good.
Doing great. Love this topic. Love it.
Yeah. So actually, I want to bring up something from a personal point of view. March 21st is World Down Syndrome Day. And to me, this actually has some significance. And the reason why is because one of my kids has Down syndrome. And I'll tell you, very early on in the process, I saw it as something that, when my son was very young, I saw this as something going, oh my gosh. The way I was thinking about it is, I got to deal with this. That's actually the way it appeared to me. But I'll tell you, 8.5 years later, it's not something that I believe it's something I've got to deal with. My gosh, how enriched my life has become because I've had the opportunity to experience it. I started to see the diversity of how I was not looking at the world and how I could look at the world. And I believe it's made me a better father, a better spouse, husband, dad, partner, customer, vendor to people. I think has really uplifted my perspective where I'm just a lot more effective on so many different dimensions. But for our specific conversation, as a leader, Sherri and Lou, how does that resonate with you in terms of this whole idea of leadership? Because you're leadership experts.
Well, I love it, Vinay. I mean, it's when you told us, we talk a lot about your son, and it's so cool to just and you're right. There's so much we can learn, not just from whether someone has Down syndrome or how. The whole point is, it's not about that. It's about how they see the world, how people see the world, and just because it doesn't have a label doesn't mean people don't see the world different, because they do. Significantly, right? I mean, Vinay, you and I are very two different people, and we see things, but that's why we're really good at partnerships, right? You see amazing things in data that I can't see. And then we look at people and see things in people. Perhaps I might give you enlightenment on your data. So we need each other. Just because we have a different view of the world doesn't mean that there's no value there. And sometimes it's up to us as leaders to find that value, to see it different.
Yeah. And I think that's a good pairing there between that. I mean, the word that a lot of people are using these days is diversity, but then there's also this other word out there, data and facts and analytics. And I think today what I'd like to do is spend some time talking about how you can actually see that diversity as something that, gosh, my phone keeps beeping here. The diversity actually is a superpower that you have within your company, and you may not be uncovering it. And I'm going to start with this quote that I think it was Arthur Chan who wrote this. He said, "Diversity is a fact, equity is a choice, inclusion is an action, and belonging is an outcome." Once you start to find that diversity in your company, gosh, you have the ability to, I call it the Superman or Superwoman pulling the shirt off and exposing the Superwoman symbol underneath. Allowing people in your company to become the superheroes that they are. And we can do that with data, which is what I think is incredibly cool. And I think that's what I would like to focus in on today.
That sounds amazing.
But before we do that, I'd like you all to introduce yourselves. I love having you on the show. I love having our conversations here. You're leadership experts. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you all do.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So, so we are a husband and wife duo. I'm Sherri, this is Lou, and we are the Lou Everett Group. And we are business and executive leadership coaches and corporate trainers. So what we love to do and have a passion for is our clients to really help get from where they are to where they intend to be by them becoming just more aware of their stuckness and utilizing our systematic approach. So we love transforming today's leaders.
Yeah, and my name is Vinay Raman. I am the CEO of Carmo. We're a company that takes data and helps you see the emotion behind it, the situation that is occurring for your employees, for your leaders, for your customers, so that it's not a matter of just trying to push them to KPIs. You actually start to see what is the friction that stops them from being that superhero. So today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you some graphs that we have from a company. So this is based on live data and real live people performing the exact same role. And even though they're in the exact same role, they're different people. And by these graphs, what I'd hope that you can see is that even though they're measured the same way, they hear different messages. They perform differently. And there's two ways you can look at this. You can look at this and go, oh gosh, I got to deal with this. Kind of the way I think I approached my son when he was first born. And I was like, oh gosh, I got to deal with this. Or where I've come to today, where I say, my gosh, I have such an incredible opportunity that sits in front of me. I get to see the world in a completely different way. And I only see retention, recruiting, productivity, and profitability that I can unleash on a whole new level that I never could before. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's it's great. Like I think this analogy of, you think about it. People are. I'm not sure about you, but my mom is definitely afraid of spiders. Always has been. Definitely afraid of spiders. Now I'm not, and neither was my father. I mean, you have one spider in the house, and you've got 4 different reactions to the spider, right? So an event, but this because of how they see it. What was the experience? Why did they? What was that all about? And the goal between that's the gap between response and data is in between. That gap is what the data shows us is what is it that makes that person different.
Yeah,
it gives us the starting point to identify how that person views what they're doing, whether it is that messaging, whether it is something else that has been developed or created in their thought process and how they view their role. And getting that starting point is helping us determine what it is that makes them react and act and behave the way that they do.
So let me share my screen here and let's talk through a couple of scenarios. And again, this is based on a role, and I'll give you a little bit of an orientation as soon as we get in here.
Yeah.
But let's talk through this. Can you see my screen here? Because what I want to do is I want to start with a couple of people. So this is a particular employee in a role. And there's 4 ways in which this person is measured in this role. Now, there's a bunch of KPIs so that you see driver behavior here. So there's a bunch of things under driver behavior, how they accelerate, how they brake. Do they drive too fast over the speed limit? Are they sitting there with the engine turned on, just using gas? Some of those things are good. Some what I'll call effective, and some of those things are less effective. We compile all that stuff together to give you a driver behavior score here. Then there's efficiency. How does that technician perform in their particular role? Are they very efficient compared to others, or are they less efficient? Their net promoter score, or NPS. This is essentially customer service. How do they do with their customers? And this is called tech referring or referral. How many times are they able to turn that into an opportunity for the company to say, hey, there's some more opportunity for us to give you service or value as a customer? Now, if you look at this graph, think about the outside of this graph, the outside edges of stuff. If here on driver behavior, if there was a dot here, that would be 100%. That's an A+ on the test. If you go towards the center here, that's getting a 0 on the test. That's less effective here. This is more effective here on the outside. So in the best case scenario, this blue area, which presents this employee, there would be 100 all the way around. But in this case, that's not actually happening. So it gives you an opportunity to see what's happening. And this gray area tells you what the average employee is doing. Did I do a fair job of laying that out? What's happening here, Sherri and Lou?
No, absolutely. Yeah. When it comes to the data, that's exactly it. Just look at it from a GPA, a grade point average kind of thing, a grade from a 0 to 100, and 100 being the best at that particular role or at that particular KPI. So that's you did a great job with that. And you see here with this employee that they're just right there. They're in the averages, right? They're right in where the average is, and most likely they're probably one of those that make the averages the averages. So obviously room to grow here, but based upon another employee that we looked at that just blew it out of the water, is blowing it out of the water, right?
Yeah, let's go take a look at someone else and see what they.
Yeah, there we go.
So that other the employee we were just looking at was a 52 out of 100, and the company overall is a 56. This employee is a 81 out of 100. So doing quite well. You can see that the average still here in the gray, but this employee is actually kicking some home runs on a daily basis for the company.
Yeah.
I mean, this is good, right? I believe this is what you want more of.
Right.
Right.
But
Yep.
even the other one though, there's still room for improvement, but it's
Oh,
not
wow.
horrible,
Mhm.
right? I mean, there's some other folks that are here that are really below average, and that is for a case in point here. So that's really behind, and then we really have to figure out, going, okay, are they, maybe they're just not in the right role? Do they even like this job? Do we even want to be here? I mean, where's the disconnect, right? And whereas the other one that we saw, there was average, but there was just that little bit that could be a little bit more. Where I see it as a leader, as a manager, I would look at that, okay, there's potential that could bump up a little bit. This one, well, that's I think this would be a deeper conversation.
Yeah, this one we can stay here for a little while, which I think we're going to do, and kind of role play this thing. I think that there's something to be told here about what's happening here with this employee.
So let's frame this up. I want to do a little bit of a role play here, because look, seeing all this stuff is great, but what action can you actually take with this information? I think that's the real crux here, is right. We've got this diversity of people. What do we want to draw out of it? And as leaders, we've got some people. So I don't talk in terms of good and bad. I talk in terms of effective and ineffective. Be bad kind of correlating with the ineffective. So if I have employees or people in my company who are ineffective, how can I turn that to be more effective, or realize, hey, this is just not somewhere? So what I'd like to propose here is that we do a role play. Let's say I'm this particular employee here, and I clearly have some areas where I'm less effective than the average. And I'd like to come in where I'll say I'm a little checked out, because I've been doing this for some time, and my head's not in the game. And you can kind of see that here from the numbers, because I'm just not even hitting average. So I've been invited into your office to have a conversation, or you stop me in the hallway or something like that and say, hey, can we step into a room here? I'd like to have a conversation with you. Let's say I've just stepped into the room, and Sherri and Lou, you're the big bosses, and I'm the employee exhibit here in the blue. Hey, Sherri. Hey, Lou. What's going on?
Doing good. How you doing, Vinay? It was great seeing you out there and about, but how are you doing right now?
I'm all right.
Well, as you know, we've been working together with a really cool company. We're pulling together some information so that we can see how we can help you and be better for us as a company, but actually, more importantly, helping our employees and those that are on the teams to become better. And if your manager hasn't mentioned that, then I'm going to help you talk about that a little bit today. But we've seen these graphs before, but I'm pulling this up just to kind of show you, because we've seen it, been back and forth with each other. We've seen each other in the hallways, and I just wanted to kind of show you what this shows us. And I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give us some feedback on what you're seeing, and because you're out there, your feet are on the ground, and you're out there doing this thing, and you've been here for a little bit. And honestly, we just want to hear it from you. We want to know what's happening out there, and what you think about your performance, and what we can do to help you along the way here. So I'm just going to give you the floor here and tell me what's happening, and be okay with it. Let me know what's up, because we want to make some changes.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I really understand what this thing is telling me here. I mean, what is 27 and company's got a 56? What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Well, I'm glad that you're seeing that, and that's why I wanted to kind of see if you see this as well. But the average, if you look in this gray area here of this graph, that's the average of every employee in doing what you do in your role, and what their averages are on all the different score factors here that we've been working on now for some time, right? The driver behavior, the efficiency, being an efficient employee overall, the tech referring, being able to refer out, and customer service, the NPS. So these are the scoring behaviors that we're looking at. We call KPIs in identifying kind of where you are in the realm of the rest of the crew, and where you fall here is in that blue area. based upon the averages. Now you're doing really, really well on tech referring and referring in those that you come in contact with your customers on other needs that you might be able to help them with. But in some of the other areas, and you can see this here, I don't have to really tell you that, certainly show me and Sherri that maybe there's something that we can learn from you that we can help improve on to help you bring those numbers up so that you can be that rock star that we brought you in for. So any questions on that? And I want to get your feedback. What are your thoughts here?
I feel like you guys are just tracking me all the time and just trying to show me that I can't do my job. I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I mean, why does this matter to me? I mean, you guys are just trying to tell me that I'm not doing a good job. Is that what you're asking me to say?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry you feel that way. Honestly, what we want is your feedback as to the challenges that you're seeing, because it seems like there might be. And we'd like to help you with those challenges. So what are you seeing?
Well, I mean, driver behavior stuff. I mean, I'm guessing it's just about, I mean, I keep hearing about how I'm driving too fast, or, I'm just not getting enough work done on the efficiency stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's NPS, we've been talking about that for a long time, and other people seem to be doing well there, but not me. I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm working as hard as I can, but I just get frustrated here because I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do here? You're showing me stuff like this, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Yeah.
No, and thank you for being aware of that. What are some things? Have you noticed some things that might be causing you to? You had mentioned that you have been told that maybe you're driving too fast, and there might be a reason for that. I'm sure there is, because you know it. So there must be a reason. So is there something on the scheduling? Is there something that's happening that's making you feel like you have to rush through it? What are some things is there any challenges that maybe that we can help you address that haven't been addressed yet?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, I feel like everyone else has just got easier routes to run. I mean, I feel like I'm driving all across town all the time, and everyone else is saying they're finished by 4 or 5 o'clock. And I feel like I can't ever finish before 6.
Yeah, I noticed that you're actually bailing, and it takes a little. Yeah, you're clocking out later. Yeah,
yeah. Doesn't seem like that's really fair to me. I mean, I don't have any information to kind of prove that, but
sure,
I felt like that a long time. It's like the deck is stacked against me.
Yeah, well, that's a legitimate concern, Vinay. If you have if you're finding that and it's obvious that you're working hard because you're here every day. You've been here for a while, and you're clocking out later. So it's obvious that you're working hard, and this is exactly why we're having this conversation, to see what we can do to help you get out of it. And
yeah, and I'm saying so it sounds like, I just want to make sure we're on the same page, that the route, maybe the distance, they're too far apart, so you're racing to the next appointment. Does that sound right, what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always, no matter how hard no matter how what I do, it seems like it just days never go right. I mean, it's like everything's stacked against me. I mean, like, my customers say, "Hey, I'm not spending enough time there." That's because I got to get to another appointment, and I don't have time. I don't have time to spend with them, and they want to talk and stuff. And they're nice people and all, but that's my job, is not to talk to them. My job is to go to the next appointment, make it on time. And I mean, then I hit rush hour. I go through certain areas, and I can't control that stuff, and so I get a 27.
Yeah. If there was a way that we could all work together, and we could provide you with an avenue to have that, to make it feel like you have more time, so that you don't have to rush, and you'd be able to get out at the normal decent time, and then you'd have that extra space to talk to customers. How would that, let's say in a perfect world, if we were able to help you do that, how would that make you feel? And do you think that would in turn help these numbers increase? And then most importantly, how would that affect you as an employee, and how would that make you feel?
Well, my family is pretty important to me. So, the fact that I'm always finishing late, I mean, I can't even make it to love making it to my kids' ball games, and I mean, if I could eat, I mean, look, he's got practice on Wednesday nights. If I could just make my son's practice every Wednesday night, I would be really happy. But it seems like I'm always falling behind. I can't do that, and that's something that's really important to me. And that I'm not really happy about that. I mean, gosh, that would make me so happy if I could do that. I would love to be there for all of his games.
Yeah, it is important. And family is important. That should be first. And so, if it's okay with you, I'd like for us to team with you and work together on this. There's another employee that you may know. We'd like to bring him in. He has he has a pattern, a kind of an organized way that he does his routes and the way he does things that allow him to be home at 4, and his routes are very comparable as far as size wise to yours. And so I'd like to pair you two together to and then have him share how he does it, his methods. And I have a feeling that that's going to really give you the edge over a lot of other people as well, so that you can then in turn not only have your overall score go better, which is just the symptom at the end of it, it's like an after effect, but allow you to feel better with what you do, be home to be able to go to your ball games with your son, and make you just feel better about your job overall. If I was to set that up, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, my life seems like it's complicated enough. I don't want to keep hopping jobs because people don't like that anyway. But I mean, when I saw this 27, the first thing that came to mind is you guys want to get rid of me. But I mean, if you can help me figure out how to do this better, because I mean, I get some needs myself. I mean, my family is super important to me. If you can help me figure out how to do that, I'd be super grateful.
Yeah. Well, let's do that then. You're very valuable to this team. Matter of fact, the amount of referrals that you bring in is very important, and you're really good at that. And so I just think we know that by pairing you, we all need people. We need you. And so let's bring in another one of your teammates that has a knack he's figured it out. And I'd love for him to share that with you, so we can work on this together. So let's do that. I'm going to set you up tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, and have you meet with him. And being that it's Wednesday, I've already let your manager know. We'll let your manager know, because Wednesdays is your ball game with your son, that no matter how it goes tomorrow, you're going to leave at 4. That's the way it's going to be. And then we're going to work through that with you and with the other employee and your teammate there. So that way you can make sure that you are there for your son. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, I tell you, I've been here for I guess like 15, 16 months now. And I was getting frustrated because nobody seems to know kind of how to help me. And I don't want to go look for another job if I don't have to. So
we don't want you to. So let's do that. And we'll do is I'm going to set up some We're going to set up some appointments to meet up with you again, and to see how that's going. Every week we'll just chat to see how it's going, to make sure that it's working and that you're comfortable with it, and we'll work through this together. If you work it, we work it. This is what I call a working company. We'll work with you as well. So if you're okay with that, we'll make that happen starting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Vinay, for what you do. Appreciate you.
All right, so we'll stop role-playing mode there. So hopefully those watching in, you could see how you could use this graph as a way to change that conversation, as opposed to kind of coming at them with a spear, kind of really just leading into, hey, where's the problem? I mean, I think that's kind of what you tried to do there. And I try to be as disengaged as possible, or at least coming from a place of being disengaged.
No, and the most important thing is to ask, listen, ask more, listen, and then give the solution.
Mm-hmm. And to actually confirm what you're hearing.
The confirmation that Sherri did is
that's
big.
why I wanted to make
Mhm.
sure, like, okay, so is this really, what I'm hearing? Because sometimes when you repeat it back to the person, they're like, oh, wait, that doesn't sound right. And then they'll adjust and then you repeat it again and go, okay, so what I'm hearing is, and then you kind of go into it. And then everybody's on the same page.
Mhm.
Don't make assumptions. Don't fill in the blanks. You just have to be intentional to really listen.
And you've got those 10 principles that you use to help leaders lead with greater influence. Are there, talk to me about those principles kind of in the context of this. What kind of applies here?
Yeah, so the principles are the 10 principles that every leader must follow to lead with influence. And out of those 10, we probably hit 3 or 4 in that conversation. But one of the most important ones there is we got to leave our ego aside. That's the ego, that principle there. And secondly is reflection. And I think that we can have reflection during a conversation with our employees, with those that we lead. That is the time where we ask and we listen, and we're not so quick to jump in and jump on. I always call it, don't jump in and jump on. Jump in and reflect. Be a part of the same conversation. And it's difficult because the idea here is, and you heard me say this to him, right? I say to the employee, you know what? Being that today's Wednesday, I want you to get out of here at 4 so that you can be at that ball game with your son. And a lot of employees will say, I can't do that. Well, why can't you? When we just verified that employee has been working past that time at 6 o'clock, and if it's going to take that one little piece to say, I heard you, and that's really what's important to you. Is it really going to do a lot of damage for you to just acknowledge that and to let that go? It's not really going to. It's going to strengthen the relationship, and ultimately that's what this is about. Because Vinay, that employee was on his way out. That employee is on his way out. Matter of fact, he's probably already thought about it. Even in the conversation, you said, well, I really don't want to do job hopping. And obviously you've thought about it. We're not happy here. Yeah. And what's most important to that employee is that I've not been home with my kids and my family when I'm supposed to be home with my family, which means he's probably getting grief from his significant other and his kids, and he really wants to be with his family.
Yeah, I mean,
which rightly he should be.
As the employee who was thinking about it, Sherri and Lou, I didn't think you guys even noticed me or cared. And then having that conversation, I started to think, hold on a second, you guys just had a conversation with me. I actually matter a little bit. I mean, that was just sort of the olive branch that you've extended, saying, hey, you do matter. Let's try to see if we can't fix this or at least address it, right?
Exactly. And even a couple of times when you would say, well, I look at this and Tony, I don't know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it is wrong, and what I can do to fix it. And it wasn't what you were internalizing a lot of that. And not one time did we say to you, you need to fix this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole conversation was about how can we work together to make this happen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of changing the words. The whole point of being in a situation like this, right? As a leader, our goal is to keep the employee, keep them engaged, and to increase their productivity and performance. That's our goal. It doesn't matter what words, it matters what words we use to make that happen. So let's just adjust it. The goal is to have that happen. How we get there is just as important because we want sustainability and consistency. So just change the wording around a little bit.
Yeah.
But also the accountability too. I mean, we've been on the flip side of this, on the other side, and it's been something similar. But then there's no follow-up or nothing, or maybe it's at the next review, which could be another month from now.
Or a year.
Or even a year. It's like, well, and then, so that can
it gets lost.
It can get lost and be like, well, we gave you the help. And it's like, yeah, but there was nothing, there was no follow through. And I think, and I know the accountability is huge. So if we can keep the employees engaged, and it's work on both sides, but think of it this way. Do you want your money running out the door, or do you want to plug some of it and invest in, take the moment and keep your employee.
Turn them into a rock star student.
Yeah.
A rock star employee, or that's the whole idea, and a student, because he has to learn and be trained. And that's what it's all about here. And you can't train somebody that's closed off to that and Vinaya, that employee, when you came in, you're closed off, because you're like, I'm not really worth anything. I'm not doing well, and I'm probably going to lose my job. And you know what?
I was disengaged at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of, and Sherri, you make a valid point. What we do is we say, okay, well, I'm going to connect you with this person, and they're going to turn you into a rock star. And then I leave it at that, instead of what we did here is, well, I'm going to connect you with this employee, but I'm going to, because they have this method, I want him to give you the sneak peek on, but I'm going to meet with you every week, and we're going to check in on and see how that's going. And if it's not working, we're going to find another way.
Yeah.
There's the accountability.
Yeah.
Right. It takes a little time, but
either one of two options, right? Either going to get re-engaged and actually start seeing the numbers increase, or it's actually going to be very obvious that the person's just kind of like, hey, I really don't really want to be here. It's not the right position, and go down that path. But at least it could be a cordial situation versus a hostile disconnect.
Most likely they'll come to you because you've had a relationship with them. They'll come to say, you know what, this just isn't working for me.
This isn't working.
Then you have an opportunity to communicate with them before they just, I'm out, I quit, don't show up, whatever that might be. That's the whole reason why we take the time to nurture. Another one of our 10 principles to nurture our employees.
One of the things I say, or at least I think of, is when I show something like this to an employee or someone on my team, I show it to them. Only good can come out of it. And here's what I mean by that. They can say, thank you for paying attention to me. Thank you for giving me this stuff. I want to try to they want to opt in, right? That's a great thing where they say, yeah, I see that 27. I want to get to 40, whatever that number is, right? Great. That's all the better for the company. Or conversely, they can just say, I really don't care and I want to opt out. Which that's a fantastic thing for me as a leader, where they say,
right,
I really don't care. Thank you for your time. It makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, they're transitioning themselves out. And it's, I had a quick story on this exact thing. Is I had when I was going through and developing myself, and other people developing me, I wasn't in leadership, but I was being developed into a role that I was in. And I was having difficulty with that role, and we were based on numbers, like a lot of other roles are, and just like this kind of data. And I was very similar conversation was brought in and said, and my leader was like that, and says, let's find a solution. And what he said to me, though, which what really made me prove it to him and really gave me the accountability I needed, he said, I tell you what, if you take this advice and you do this, and this, and we see improvement, and I see those numbers change, like I know they're going to, because you have it in you to make this happen. This number for this month, your numbers for this month, I will wipe out and not even acknowledge them when it comes to your yearly review, so you won't have to worry about that negativity. We have the ability as leaders to do those types of things.
Yeah.
To empower those that we're trying to lead and change. And because of that, it completely changed the dynamics of how I approached my role. And not only did I accomplish that role, I was promoted 3 times within that following couple of years into leadership roles because of the development I was able to get from that example, from that moment.
So hopefully those who've listened in have seen that there's an opportunity, seeing this unbiased and objective data visualized for you in the form of this graph here, that you can actually start to see for all of your people how they're appearing in their role and where they need support, and how you can have an actual conversation with some of those folks who are potentially just not bad employees, but just struggling to be good employees. So you can lift them up. If they want to have a further conversation with you and learn more about how you all think, how you lift leaders, or how to help them lead with more influence, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Reach out. We have on our website, lewevergroup.com. Our phone number's there. We actually have our calendar out there. So feel free to reach out. And we're also on LinkedIn and Facebook, as well as Instagram.
And if you'd like to see some examples of those graphs, or if we'd like to do something like an employee assessment to find out who is feeling really engaged and who is not so engaged, we have free tools for employee assessment that we already have out there. Simply send a note to me and I'll send you the tool. You can send it out to your whole population of employees and start to find out in a jiffy, really where some of those challenges are and what type of challenges there, so you can lean in and start to be a more effective leader, literally overnight. And you can find us at www.carmo.com, or you can also find us on LinkedIn. I constantly post out there, and you'll find Sherri and Lou as well, where we interact with each other. But hopefully this was a useful session for all those who listened in, and you got something out of this so you can take action on being more effective tomorrow. And Sherri and Lou, as always, thank you for the time.
You bet, Vinay.
You're
Thanks a
welcome.
lot.
Thank you.